I'm Alan, this is UK. I want to show you what I got in the mail yesterday. This is a National Speleological Society 20-year pin. I've been a member of the society for 20 years. So this is 2024, so that means I joined in 2004. That's a long time. Hey, do you like this shirt? It said, I can't, I'm very busy caving. My wife's sister got this for me. I think it's a hint on my priorities. If you want to know more about the National Speleological Society, go to the website. It's www.caves.org. Before I became a member of the National Speleological Society, I was a member of the Philadelphia Grotto, which is a local chapter of the NSS. And they encourage their members to become members of the national organization, in addition to being a member of the local chapter. They found out after about 2 caving trips with them, they found out I was a scoutmaster at the time. Ooh. So they decided that I should be taking scouts cave exploring. And I was a little bit skeptical at first about how to do this and if I was going to be able to do that, because I'd only been caving a couple of times with them. But they offered to help. They showed me how to run a trip and everything that was needed to do it, and they went along with me on very many trips, and it was a whole lot of fun because there were a whole lot of fun of a group of people there. So they made me the youth group liaison for the grotto. Yeah, and then I became a member of the NSS. I wanted to find out more about what other grotto youth group liaison were doing. So I went to look it up, and I found that the NSS has a youth group liaison committee, which kind of like covers the whole United States. So I went on there and poked around there for a while, which I'm not too sure was a good idea, because I was very quickly assigned as the regional coordinator for Pennsylvania, which seemed like an awful lot of responsibility at the time, but I decided to try it anyway. I took on that responsibility. I was getting a few more inquiries about taking scouts cave exploring. Friends at the Philly Grotto were kind enough to help me out and go with me on trips and help me supervise all these scouts when we're cave exploring. And it was a whole lot of fun. I got to see a whole mess of new caves. We went to all kinds of places, explored in a lot of places. A year or so after I became that regional coordinator, the person that was chairing the youth group liaison committee for the NSS retired from that position, and which kind of like left a really big gap in who's going to coordinate all these people. For some reason, I just thought, well, I'll try it out for a while until somebody who knows what they're doing comes along. Things started going along really well, and nobody else came up to bat to take over the position from me. So I wound up holding on to that position for a good bit while longer. I actually had fun with it. There was, I got put together a website for the committee, and it had all the regional coordinators on it. I was able to, when people came, they would see my email address, they would contact me, and I would steer them on to somebody in their area that could help them. One of the things that I started doing, or that started coming to me anyway, is that they have all these brochures on caves, cave exploring, what kind of caves there are, and all these kind of really interesting facts about caves and cave exploring. As a youth organization, you could just ask them for some of these brochures, and they would send you a big box of these brochures. One of the administrators from the NSS started saying, hey, this Boy Scout troop over here ordered some brochures. make sure that they got headed in the right direction. Can you help them? I said, sure. So they would give me their email address, and I would contact these people and ask them if they had any questions, if there was anything that I could do to help them. I didn't really know what the next step was, so I would get them pointed in the right direction and get them going. That's basically what the job entailed, is organizing the regional coordinators and sending people their direction. It went along really well. I was really having fun, and I was still doing my own regional coordinator and taking scouts that would contact the Philadelphia Grotto and me in the Pennsylvania area, cave exploring. And this caused me to be really kind of, I guess, active and out in the open in the National Speleological Society. And then somebody came up with the idea. They have this like an honor society where they vote in people who are fellow members, and it's just like it's an honor to be elected into this. Somebody recommended me to be a fellow, and I said, sure, I'll participate in that. I was elected into it, and in a national organization, little old me here in Pennsylvania, small town Pennsylvania, was elected in as a fellow, and it was really kind of nice to be recognized for all the work that I was doing with youth groups and cave exploring. Maybe a couple of years later, when the Board of Governors every year do a rotation of the board members, and a few people go out and they elect new board members to replace them. Not everybody at once, but just a few at a time, so that there's a constant rotation of people. I was asked if I would run for the Board of Governors. Sure, why not? I was told never say no. One of my thoughts was, I'll never get on the Board of Governors, but it's an opportunity for me to showcase what the Youth Group Liaison Committee can do for the National Speleological Society. It was great. I wrote up my whole, whatever it is, campaign thingamabobby that they wanted, and they posted it in the NSS News along with everybody else's, and the elections went out, came back, and I got elected onto the Board of Governors of the National Speleological Society. It was a little bit more than I was bargaining for. I didn't think I would get, all I wanted to do was let people know what we were doing. I did get quite a few emails from people who didn't know that the committee existed. We're very excited to know that this was something that the National Speleological Society would do. So with the Board of Governors, and then I'm chairing the committee for the National Speleological Society Youth Group Liaison Committee. I was the regional coordinator for Pennsylvania and the youth group liaison for the Philadelphia Grotto. My hands were full. I was really, really very, very busy. Just about at that same time, I had some medical issues with my back. I had to take a leave of absence for a few months and not do any trips and not participate in stuff. I really had to take a good look at what I was doing and think about what was important for me to do. And while I could not go to the Board of Governors meetings, because they were held all over the United States in different parts quarterly, with my back in that condition, I was unable to travel long distances. I asked, and they allowed me to step down after a year to relinquish my position in the Board of Governors. which was, I'm really sorry I had to do that, but it was just, I had to get more of my attention back on the youth group liaison committee, which was starting to falter because I wasn't putting enough attention on it. As I did that, there was other things that went on during those times that were not all that great. We had white nose syndrome hit our area, which shut us down as far as caving goes for 18 to 24 months. Nobody went underground in our area anyway for that period of time. So there was no scouts were going underground either, and I had to be the the bad guy that would say no more caving, and I didn't like doing that at all. I really did not like doing that, and people would contact me to want to know if they could go cave exploring with me, and I had to explain to them what was going on with the bats and with white nose syndrome, and sent them information on what was happening. After about 24 months, it didn't seem like anything was changing too much in Pennsylvania. So we decided to carefully try to get back underground and see what was going on. We had lost a lot of bats. I'm guessing high 90% of the bat population. The small brown bats went from being probably the most populated species in Pennsylvania to being on the endangered list in like a year, and it was just overwhelming. But anyway, I don't want to dwell on the bad things that had happened. So we eventually did get back and started getting kids cave exploring again. I was starting to get more requests at the time. There was a couple of colleges that had outdoor programs that wanted to go cave exploring. I took them cave exploring. There was a summer camp that wanted to try cave exploring as part of their rock week at camp, where they were doing a little bit of rock climbing. They did some geology. They did some other nature things. And then at the end of the week, the big thing was I would take that group cave exploring. That was a whole lot of fun, because here we had a bunch of kids that were just chomping at the bit. They would do this one week. It was the only week during the summer that they would do this. And they would sign up, and there was a waiting list to actually get into this week. And I would take them cave exploring, and they were awesome, because it wasn't like you had to explain everything to them. They knew it all. They knew everything that there was to know about caves and the environment and all that kind of stuff. And they were just like really gung-ho into it. And after a couple of years of doing that, I would see occasionally some of the same kids being there time after time. And there was one young lady that went caving a few times with that group, and she finally came back as a CIT and a counselor for that trip. And it was a whole lot of fun to have her help out with the trip, because she knew what was going on and knew what to do. But anyway, so let me get back to what I'm talking about my experiences with the National Speleological Society. Now we're getting into a time period where I was getting more and more requests, to the point of I was doing more like 8 to 10 to 12 trips a year. It was starting to get more difficult to get people to help, because this is almost every month, and a lot of my friends only actually got to get out and go cave exploring once a month. Doing it underground at the same cave with the kids was not always what everybody wanted to do, and after a while it just started to burn them out, and it was getting difficult to get people to help me out here. But I kept doing it. It just got more and more expensive for me to do on my own. That's when it was strongly suggested to me that I should start a nonprofit organization so that I could raise money to help with the expenses of taking kids cave exploring. I wanted to do this through the National Speleological Society, but to tell you the truth, looking over all of the paperwork and everything that is with the society, this is still not part of their mission. Their mission is not to educate kids who are non-members about cave exploring and take them on a once and done trip. I understand that their focus was more on the members and educating the members on all the aspects of caves and cave exploring. One of the leaders that for the summer camp suggested to me, why don't you just do it? You call it UCAVE, YOUCAVE. And YOU stands for Youth Opportunities Underground. Pretty clever, huh? Yeah, she was pretty clever with coming up with that one. I took her advice, and then I took the advice of my other friends and tried to put together starting a nonprofit. A couple of the scout leaders that would come back to me every year to want to take their troop cave exploring, talk to them about it. They all thought it was a great idea too. I played with a couple of business models and trying to figure out what would work. The last few years I got sidetracked on some health issues and I had to back off of it for a little bit, but I'm back onto it again, and I'm onto it full force, I guess you would say. In a few weeks, school ends, and I'm retiring from being a substitute teacher so that I can spend all of my time on UCAVE. I'm not going to go back to the Y as a summer camp counselor, and I'm going to focus totally on UCAVE. So this is where I am now. We're incorporated in Pennsylvania, together a board of directors, filed for IRS for a 501c3, and that was granted retroactive of last March. It was March of 23. So here we are now. We're going to start moving forward, hopefully more picked up pace, see what we can do covering Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Delaware, and Maryland. This seems to be the areas that I attract the most. I'm going out and talking at vendor shows, at Boy Scouts, well, it's not Boy Scouts anymore, is it? Oh, it's Scouting America now. And Girl Scouts, because the Girl Scouts are getting very active with this caving, which I think is totally awesome. This is great. The more we have underground like that, the better off it is. The more kids we can impact on what we're doing. I have some plans for trying to reach out to other youth organizations, because there's a lot of opportunities for other organizations at other summer camps. There are Y camps, there are private camps, there are church camps that they could do a cave exploring trip during their camping season. There are schools. I've been in contact with some schools. They've reached out to me, and I'm working on trying to get all the details together so that science teachers would like to take a class trip underground. We're working on trying to get that going for this next year and see if we can actually make that happen. Other organizations that I'm planning on contacting in the distant future, maybe, like PAL and Big Brothers Big Sisters and organizations like that. But I think that other organizations other than just Scouts could benefit from this program. And one of the things that I want to do with this being a nonprofit as part of the business model is that there are a lot of kids that would like to get underground but just don't have the money. I will be doing some fundraising really soon to try to get together money to cover the costs of a lot of these kids, so I can keep the costs down, keep the business model very inexpensive for the kids, because I think it's important for them to see this and to experience it. And I'd really like to share something that I truly love doing with them. So that's where we are right now. I hope to see you underground soon. Cave safely, cave softly, cave often.